What's going on, real ones? BCHQ back with another discussion time, episode 95. This one was suggested by my boy Jack of One Trade. Catch his podcast if you type in Laughing at Birds. You can find it on iTunes. I think he's on multiple different platforms, so just search that and it'll pop up, probably on anything you search. So, Laughing at Birds podcast. Topic today: when do you think is the best and the worst time to reach out to a friend that you haven't spoken to in years? Now, I was thinking about this a minute ago. A lot of people put this off, contacting people that they probably fell out with. For most of the time, it's not a good reason that they fell out. It's probably over a girl that they probably not either of them are seeing anymore. Maybe it's over a small amount of money, or they don't like one of the other friends' best friends or something like that. Like, it's always something that's not worth the outcome of you not being friends anymore. The majority of the time, I would say. So, and I was thinking, like, we're not promised every single day we're here. We're not promised tomorrow. We might not wake up tonight or tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So we could leave this earth at any point. So to put off and not speaking to a friend for years upon years it's not good enough. And it's time wasted that you might never get a chance to make up from, because you might die tomorrow and never speak to that person again, or they might die. So I was just sat there a minute ago thinking, what are we waiting for? The time is now. In my opinion, there's no better time than picking up the phone right now and speaking to that person, especially if it's been a long time since you've spoken to them. I understand time's going to pass if it's only quite recent it's happened, but when it's, say, 5 years you haven't spoke to someone because they owe you £10 or something, like, for me, that's not a big enough reason. Things like that can get squashed, things like that can get sorted, but it takes communication. So you're going to have to pick up the phone to communicate to resolve that situation in the first place. But I think ego plays a big part in this, because a lot of people, their egos take a hit and they're like, well, I'm not going to be the bigger person in this. That's what it comes down to. One of you's got to take the chance to and the opportunity to be a bigger person in a situation. But people's egos and just pride get in the way, because they're like, why should I be the one to apologise, blah blah blah, when most of the time they're both in the wrong for the situation. But they probably look at each other and think either the other one of them is in the wrong, but they're not, when most of the time it's probably both of them in it wrong. So in my opinion, the best time to reach out to a friend that you haven't spoken to in a while is right now. And maybe you haven't fell out with a person, maybe you've just grown apart. A lot of people, like people from my childhood and that, you go to secondary school and stuff, and things change. Like, they move away, you move away, jobs, and do you know what I mean? A lot of the time it's not even personal, it's just people drift apart. And that's unfortunate, man. But even more the case with them, there's even more reason for you to pick up the phone and speak to them, because you haven't got that tension there of, oh, we fell out about something, at whatever level it is, because you haven't fell out with them, you've just grown apart. So it should be easier in that sense to contact that person. But again, it comes down to you being mature enough to be like, well, why haven't they rung me? Like, maybe they want to, but they haven't felt confident enough to. So sometimes you have to be the bigger person. Sometimes you have to be the one to reach your hand out and extend a hand of friendship and understanding and forgiveness. And I know it's not easy, we can all work on this, but that's my opinion on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I'd be interested to know how many of you have fell out with a certain friend. I know I've spoke to Jack about this before. He grew up with someone that he was just, do you know what I mean? Like, when you can't separate people, they're that close, they got that much of a tight bond, and then stuff happens, and you reminisce a lot, and you wonder if the other person's reminiscing a lot about good times that they had with you, and just, even if you don't really speak to them that much anymore, you might reach out and you might just speak the one time and that's good enough, and then you drift apart again. But you always want good for that person, because, especially if you haven't fallen out with them, because you understand that life just takes over sometimes. You have commitments, you have jobs, you have families, but you just want that person, you wish them good health, you wish them well and to succeed in whatever they're doing. You just want to let them know that you haven't forgot all them times of childhood and you've grown up with them and basically telling them that you love them. That's not no gay shit. This is a big thing as well. As men, in my opinion, we need to open up more and say to our friends and whatnot, I love you, man. And it's not on a gay thing, it's just appreciation. And not enough people do that. A lot of people lose people, if it's family or friends, then they want to say that they love them to pieces. But like, there's a saying that's going around a lot. Give people their flowers while they're here. Don't be giving people flowers once they're gone. Appreciate people while they're here. So I'm glad that Jack asked this, because especially right now as well, people are divided in this whole lockdown and people are in fear and anxiety levels are through the roof for certain people. This is time more than ever right now to come together and show people that you're there to support them, regardless of issues you've had in the past. Reach out to people, say, let's squash this, we're bigger people than this. We haven't spoken in so long, how are you doing? How have you got kids? I've got kids. Like, relate to them. There'll be a lot of things you can relate to on the same level because you're going through the same stuff, but you're just not talking to each other about it. The biggest issue is getting over that first hurdle of that first conversation, especially if it's been years since you haven't spoke. But in my opinion, man, reach out to that person today. Don't let this time fester any more than it has, because you might get on your deathbed or find out that they've passed, and you're going to have that regret. You're going to have that guilt that you never reconciled with them, that you never made up with them, that you never squashed whatever that pettiness was. So just please, I urge you lot to do that, man, because I don't want people to regret that when it comes time to leave this realm. I believe in the afterlife, so I believe we come back and stuff in other senses, in spirits, but regardless of that, squash the beef you've got with people. And if you reach out to someone and they don't accept it, then that's fine. You've still done your part. You've still been the bigger person. You've been the one mature enough to say, look, yes, that happened, but that shouldn't override the friendship and the bond we had. I miss you, I appreciate you. If they come back with negativity or they just ignore you, then you have to let it go. But at least you know you've done your part. If they want to act like that, that's on them. But the key is to let go of all that hatred and that pride and that ego. It's really not worth it. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans. We all bleed. We all do the same stuff. So no one should be acting bigger than the other person. And that's something that we got to continually get bigger and better at, growing at that. It's brought out some passionate stuff in me, man, because I've grown away from people, and do you know what I mean? It's not easy. So I'm glad that Jack asked this, man, because I know he's gone through something like this. As I said, we spoke about it before, and as I said, even if that person doesn't want to respond to you in a sense that they don't want anything to do with you or just being horrible about it, at least you've done your part. At least you can now, when it's time for you to go, you know that you reached out and you've done your bit. You don't have to feel guilty and think, what if? Thank you for your question, Jack. I hope I answered it well. Let me just tackle the worst time to do this. This kind of plays into it as well, but on everything I've just said. The worst time, other than maybe like family emergencies where maybe someone's died in that person's family and you're contacting them about your issues with them personally on something outside of their family, it's just something between you and them, that's not the best time to do that, because they're going through maybe their dad dying or something like that. So other than like a family emergency, I don't think there's any worse time to contact someone, in my opinion. So just make the most of every day, man. We're not here for that long, and even if you believe in afterlife and that, you don't really know what we're going to come back as and stuff. So just make the most of what we got at the moment, guys, man. And other than, like I said, family emergencies, for me, there's not really a worse time to contact someone. So hope this answers your question, man. Thank you for your question as well. If anyone else has got any topics they want me to touch upon, and I'm on episode 95, I want to get to 100 at least. Maybe once I get to 100, I'll decide to keep it going. But this was always my target when I started this series out. I appreciate the question, man. I hope everyone's good and staying productive and happy. Stay positive, people. Keep working at it. It's never too late to change. mindset is a big thing. If you can change that, you're on the right path, man. So shout out to everyone supporting. I'll speak to you soon. They don't want to fuck with the real ones.